Hey guys, it's Primera Spotter 91 here, coming to you live with Brett and the Ghost X2. Say hi, guys.
Hey guys, the most average Ryan here, usual.
Hey guys, it's Brett. Looking forward to doing this podcast. We got some really cool stuff to talk about.
Alrighty, so we're going to head right into the Gauntlet. We saw Cryo and Lionheart take the top two positions there, moving on to the Premier World League. What were your thoughts on that? Were you thinking of some other teams that were going to get in, or did you expect these two teams to actually win?
Well, I mean, not everyone, but most of the people saw my power rankings going into the qualifiers, and Cryo wasn't actually even on there because they were the last team to get the qualifier spot. And then Lionheart, I also didn't even have in like my top four, I think, for qualifier teams. So definitely didn't expect it, but they're two really good teams. They played, absolutely lights out throughout the entire qualifier, both of them. Couple issues with teams showing up quick enough, Lionheart and whatnot, but once everything got settled and they started winning their matches, I mean they looked really strong. Looking forward to seeing them play in the league.
All right, Ghost, any thoughts?
Not much. Just looking at how. Just want to see how a Cryo play is all really.
All right. Well, go ahead.
They played a couple matches already, actually. And I mean, I know we might be jumping around, but while we're on the topic of them, I think they are currently 1-2, including losses to
the E-Girl Slayers.
E-Girl Slayers, yep, and then Synergy by forfeit, and a win over Farmers Market. Now, Farmers Market, obviously, you ask Sauce, he'll say we have not even practiced yet as a team, but you can't take it away from Cryo. They played awesome, so they're right there. They showed they can hang with teams. They also showed that they got some stuff they got to work on against the E-Girls, and then they also got to make sure they show up on time to their matches, so they don't take forfeits like they did to you guys.
No stuff. Brett's already jumping the gun, and that's amazing for us. We could talk about the future of these PWL teams. I'm just gonna elaborate a little bit more on what Brett's been saying about Cryo. Yeah, they look like a pretty decent team. It's nothing to count them out already. They're showing up what they can do, and a lot of the other teams gotta put in some of their invested scrim time in here, because if not, I don't think they're gonna really stand a chance with some of the top teams that actually practice every day. And they put a lot of time invested in this game, and it definitely shows in the way that they practice and scrim and matches wise. So Def, Ghost, do you have anything else you want to chime around?
No, I don't have much to say in that.
All right.
So Ghost, as a member of Team Synergy, obviously you guys are a team that a lot of people in the community think are right up there on the top. When you're looking at other teams in the league, I mean any of the teams, who's the one that you don't want to see up against you, say in the finals? Who's a team that you'd be the most worried to see on the other side of the lobby?
That'd be probably E-Girl Slayers and Cryo.
Okay. So those are two names that I don't think a lot of people would think. You have anything that any specific reason why? I'd love to hear that, because those are two unique picks.
Cryo's got some really good players like AJ, JHV, and Farmers Market. All their players are just with some of the best, honestly.
All right, so you said Farmers Market and E-Girls now. You've said three teams now.
No, just E-Girls and Cryo. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Names mixed up.
Yeah, there are some funny names coming into the season, but so I agree that those are. I mean, I really do think this season, this Premier League season we're going to see is going to be some of the most concentrated talent we've probably had in a long time. I mean, what was like the golden season at the Overguard? Probably season 3. Where it seemed like stuff was done, and the competition was at the best it's been. I think we're even in a better spot as far as competition goes with the 8 Premier League teams we have this season. And I know there's some really feisty, almost too feisty of AWL teams. I think they want a chance at it. So I think the talent's there. You know, obviously we've lost some of our big name players, but I think that there's been a lot of new up and coming teams. I mean, you look at Cryo, for example. That's a team full of names that, I mean, this is their first time ever being even involved in this community like this of competitiveness at what we do here. Meanwhile, you look at teams like, you know, Resilience, Farmers Market, Ego Slayers, where it's all people that have, I mean, they've been around forever. There's even names on like half the names on Synergy. You know, Invigorate's been a team forever. So it's the competition. You know, people like to say, well, all the good players are gone. I definitely acknowledge that we've lost a lot of good players, but I think that we've had some really good ones step up as well. I mean, there's a lot of new names in the scene.
Yeah, well, just like any game, you're going to have the periods where people rather invest their time elsewhere, you know, and when people leave, new people can arise, you know, and pretty much it's just up to the players, you know. You could talk big, but if you're not doing anything about it, you know, I can't take you seriously. I can't really say that, yeah, you're as good as you claim, you know. So all those AWL teams just, you know, set up some matches. This week we're trying to get some of you guys in so you guys could play on stream Friday and, you know, showcase your talent, show why you think you deserve a talent. And I'm going to segue right into Brett so he could explain how the AWL League actually works.
Yeah, so this is a bit confusing. I'm going to really do my best to get it right one time here on the podcast, guys. But if you do have further questions, feel free to DM me. I'll either hop in voice sometime and explain them or fire up my stream and explain them to you guys. Because it's way too much to type. But basically, the way it's going to work is we have the PWL, which is our 8 teams. The top 6 at the end of the season are going to guarantee a spot in the playoffs, the Premier League playoffs. They're going to be seeded 1 through 6. Now, the entire time the Premier League season is going on, the AWL is also going to be competing in their season, which is going to be very much structured like the OGCC or like the ladder that we had at the end of the Overguard. What that's going to do is you're going to play your matches, you're going to get wins and losses, and you're going to climb up and down the standings. At the end of the Premier League season, I think the playoffs are going to be on a Saturday and a Sunday, maybe just a Saturday, something like that. Maybe say the Friday before. I don't know exactly the days, but for example, there would be an open bracket, a large open bracket. And any team in the AWL that wanted to compete they'd register for the event. It'd probably be hosted through Battlefy, and you'd get seeded based on where your standings were at the end of the AWL season. The bottom 2 Premier League teams are also going to get thrown into there. We haven't decided exactly on where they're going to be seeded, how that's going to work. Something that, you know, there's going to be probably a council vote on and whatnot, and we'll figure it all out. But they're going to be thrown in. We're going to have one big open bracket. They're going to all play. You're going to start playing your matches, probably BO3 one and done style tournament. Get to the final 2 teams, and those teams become the 7th and 8th seed in the Premier League playoffs. So if you're that team in the AWL and you feel like you got screwed, you deserve to be in the Premier League, you could beat all these Premier League teams, that's your chance. You get in, say you're the 7th seed, you get in, you upset the 2, you go all the way to the finals, you win that whole prize pool that we're going to be building up for the next couple of weeks here. So it's not over if you're an AWL team. Keep in mind, like Primera just said about 5 minutes ago, we're going to be streaming multiple AWL matches, maybe every Friday, maybe Thursday, Friday, if you can get someone that can get on the staff and get them to stream a couple good matches. If you guys show us, hey, look, we're a good team, this is a good team, we got our stuff together, we're going to be on time with our full roster, just fire up a stream and get the caster for us, you know, odds are we're going to make it work. We want content. So AWL teams, I love the enthusiasm, I love the feistiness, but it's time to put up or shut up because the format's there. It's there for you to still be able to compete and still be able to, to show that you belong. Back yourself up.
All right. Thank you, Brett, for explaining to us exactly how this league's gonna work. Now we're gonna move on to everybody's favorite top 5 lists. So now you're gonna see plenty of Pharah. So what are your top 5 Pharah? How about you, Ghost? Give me your list.
My list is I put number one in Volts. I feel like that's kind of just a given. Number two, I'd put Ware. Number three, I'd put Ryan AM, and number four, I'd put D Pro, and number five, OSEC.
Oh, D Pro's playing some Pharah, huh? Didn't even know that.
Yeah, pretty recent.
Yeah, I agree with what Volts or what Volts said. What Ghost said about Volts. I think you're gonna look up and down these lists, and we're all gonna have some pretty similar but also unique lists. I think Pharah, the one spot, might be one of the only spots that's like, I just don't think you could argue right now, and that's that Volts is the last of those great Pharahs that we saw dominating the league for 4 years. And that's not to say there's not new talent coming up. A couple of the names on the list are new guys, but Volts I'm going to put at my one. I'm going to put Icy Suspect at the two. That's kind of based on just the quantity of Pharah he plays, but I know he also plays a very good one. OSEC at the three. He played awesome this weekend against us. Actually, bodied Volts a couple times, so maybe we should rethink that. Kidding, I do think Volts is better, but OSEC played awesome. Darkstar at the four. He plays for Cryo. He had an awesome qualifiers, and I'm gonna put Dynamo at the five. That's a throwback. I don't think we've seen too much of him on the Pharah recently, but I know he used to play a lot of her.
Dynamo on the Pharah? No, not at all. To be honest, I can't even tell you what Dynamo plays. But no, very good, nice
DPS
list. Well, my top five list is gonna be Volts from the E-Girl Slayers at number one. I think with him, his performance last week, I don't think too many people could not say that he's a very high level Pharah player. You know, number two is gonna be OSEC. Again, you can see him with his matches last week. He did a lot of good work on him, getting pocketed by I think it was A-Bounds, going from his tank position to an Ana to now a Mercy. Everybody's moving on to the Mercy role. Love it or hate it, you're gonna be a Mercy main. Then we're gonna get a little tricky because I don't know that many more Pharahs. So at number three, I used to play with him back in the day in season 2 comp. He was very good. I think he was in the old Overguard season 3 teams, and I'm gonna give it to Ware 246, I believe is his full PSN name. Yep. And number four, I believe I'm gonna give it to Icy Suspect for coming out in, I think it was the Gauntlet that he played in, and he did just a tremendous work there. Yep. And number five, I do not know, so I'm gonna give it to the most toxic Lucio player I know, the number 5 spot, Pharah, in his comp games, logging out.
Oh, big mistake.
Yo.
Volts.
Channel your inner Volts. I'm making all the mistakes tonight. So as soon as our Pharah's lists are done right here, we're gonna move on to Tracer. Tracer's still one of those characters that have been dominated in a lot of seasons, and I just don't see her pretty much leaving this meta. So Brett, what are your top 5 Tracers?
So much like Pharah, it's kind of been like, those big name Titan Tracers that we knew are just kind of stepping away from the scene. I mean, we lost Xenomorph. Shadow's no longer starting. And maybe the last of the great Tracers, being D-Pro, is going to start off my list. I'm going to put Fibers at the 2, who's another up-and-coming Tracer who we've seen absolutely take over games before. The reason I'm going to put him below Pro is because I also have seen Fibers be non-existent at times. But when he's hot, he might be the best. It's just D-Pro, I think, is more consistent. Twitter's at the 3, a great Tracer player. El Jacko at the 4, one of the last remaining Tracer mains. I know he's been playing Soldier recently for his team, but El Jacko is a great Tracer. We saw him popping off in the qualifiers last week. And then I'm going to put at the 5 McBillet. We're finally seeing McBillet and his boys competing in the Premier Leagues. I know they're in the AWL this season. That's a team that I really have highlighted. If they can get some team chemistry and heading into the open bracket, I wouldn't be surprised to see them make the league or the playoffs.
Okay. Ghost, what's your list coming up there?
My list, it's pretty similar to Brett's in some ways. Number 1, I'd put Fibbers. Number 2, I'd put D-Pro. pretty consistent with D-Pro right there. Twitter's I put number 3, Digital Sith I'd put 4, and by Pika I'd put number 5.
Okay. Pretty nice list there. For me, I'm gonna go with D Pro. I know him for a while now, and he's just very consistent on the Tracer. Now that he's gonna be switching to a Pharah, time will only tell if his Tracer play is gonna get lackluster or his Pharah is just gonna go through the roof and be on a level as Volt. 2, I'm gonna give it to Fibers just for the fact that so many people were talking about him in the last tournament's ladder system we had. And I had to check out the VOD to see what everybody was talking about. And when he's hot, he's hot. If he's not, you're sleeping on him. But hopefully he could get more consistent, and maybe he could rival, D-Pro at number 1. And maybe he could have been a little bit lower on my list, but I'm just gonna keep it there. Number 3, I'm gonna give it to McBillet. Most of the fact is I've been subbing for a lot of teams, trying to help out where I can, and it was just very annoying as a Tracer. So I'm gonna give it to him. Number 4, I'm gonna give it to drumroll, El Jacko. He's another player that, as Brett and I think Ghost said, that he's just been on the Tracer for such a long time now. And I think now with a lot of the old Tracers' names kind of fading to the existence there, I think he has a good chance of making a name for himself. And number 5, I'm going to give it to nobody, because I don't know another Tracer. I'm going to move on right ahead to McCree, one of the Hicks scans that is not that popular. I would have went Soldier instead of McCree, but I guess it's time to let McCree shine. I'm going to start this list off with the number 1 McCree that I know, Rip the Slayer. It's unfortunate that he hasn't been able to show what he really can do in league matches, but I still think he's one of the best McCrees out there, if not the McCree. So I'm still going to give it to him. Number 2, I'm going to give it to my boy Rezi. He used to be our designated hit scan player, mostly the McCree, and he was always popping off back in the day with him. Number 3, I'm going to give it to Alpha JJ, another McCree player that I think now has been transitioning to other DPS type roles, but I think McCree is his fallback character, and he plays it quite well. Number 4 and number 5, they're going to be pretty much blanks because I have not thought of other McCree players, because now in this meta you kind of will pick a Soldier over a McCree, especially nowadays DIVECOM's so popular. McCree's kind of in a weird weak position right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think McCree is definitely, like, if you don't have a McCree that can consistently hit those shots, you're just better off running that full dive. Anyways, my McCree list, I know the second I say my first one, you're going to say, crap, I forgot him, and put him on your list, and that's Supreme Aaron's. Anytime
man.
you talk hit scan, anytime you talk hit scan, you got to have Aaron's on the list. I'm pretty sure you had him on your list the first podcast, so definitely, I'm assuming you just slipped your mind. I don't think that's shaded Aaron's. I think you'll get a good laugh about that. Number 2, I'm going to go with Rip the Slayer. Like you said, I don't think anybody questions Rip's talent. I think it's just a matter of them getting their new team working. But that man, from what I've seen, what I just know he can do, he's on a different level. Number 3, I'm going with my teammate, WCG Rev. One of the last remaining, I'd say, McCree mains. He can flex, actually one of the better DPS flexes I know. But his McCree, I do believe, I think there's a little drop off. Next, I have Ryan AM. I've been talking a lot of smack to him last couple of days about Rev buying them when we play them. So, Ghost, that's smack to you too. You just wait, because Rev and Ryan used to team. And then 5, I'm going to put Rezi / Alpha JJ, Throwback Thursday, Overguard Season 3 players. Great McCrees, great hit scans. So, that's my McCree. Ghost?
Alright, yeah, my list, it's had to be, I just have to give it to Ryan Ames, number 1. Not because of my team, just because he's on my team, but just seeing him in comp and just some of the stuff he does, it's pretty eye-opening, honestly. Number two, obviously, it's Supreme Errands. Number three, I'd have to give it to Rev. Number four, Rip the Slayer, and number five, Re-Resi.
Okay, okay. Well, I'm
Basically
gonna
all the
redeem
same names.
myself. Yeah. Well, I mean, McCree's one of those characters that even before he wasn't quite the popular pick, so to speak. Especially ever since his ultimate was nerfed a little bit, he kind of really fell off into the abyss there. You know, the only players who were really confident stuck with the McCree even when Soldier was still in the wishy-washy, slightly better than average character. I hate to say it, but most players would like to pick the less hard pick. So my hat's off to anybody who
True.
picks a harder character and excels at them. So I'm gonna redeem myself, and we're gonna move on to the best flexes. Okay, and now I'm gonna redeem myself here by saying I believe that the top flex ever in this game will give it to Supreme Errands. Okay, Supreme, I've seen you play any character and excel at it, so don't kill me that I forgot you on hit scan, because to be honest, I only think of you as a soldier player from all the time that I've been watching you play. So I don't know, slipped my mind, so sue me. Number two, I'm gonna give it to Defies. He used to play Reaper back in the day, plays Soldier now, and I think he's getting into a bit of Pharah or even Tracer. So I think that man can play any DPS at such a high level. Now this is where things are gonna get tricky, because I didn't really know where to put most of these other players at. So all of them could really just be tied in my eyes. I gotta give it to Ryan AM. I know when we played against his team runs a lot of weird-ish comps, like Trip DPS, even when it wasn't a thing. And him himself is a pretty good DPS player that could play most of them. So my hat's off to him. I'm gonna also give number 4/3/5 to Rezi. I know he goes from McCree to Soldier to Pharah. Even though hit scan's not his favorite thing, he can still play him. I forget, he can't even play Genji. I remember he was telling me buying a Genji blade just the fact that he could play Genji, and I'm just like, okay, cool. Then number 5, oh man, number 5. I guess I will have to give it now to D-Pro. I mean, I only know him as a Tracer player, but if Ghost is telling me he could play Pharah now, maybe he could do it. Maybe he could do it.
I mean, all definitely talented DPS players. I guess, like you said, I'm gonna leave Aaron's at the 1, and then kind of in no specific order. I just have a handful of players. I guess I'll try to order them. I'm gonna say the same thing I said last time. I don't think we can make a flex list without putting Silent's name on there.
Oh man, I'm throwing. He's 5. Move Silent back to my 5.
Good buddy of mine, longtime teammate of mine. He literally might be the only person I know who can literally just play any character in the game, played at a high level. So I'm gonna put Silent there. Ryan AM, I think is an interesting one. I know he plays a great hit scan. He plays a good off tank, but as far as DPS goes, I'll still have him on the list. Like I said, these next couple in no specific order. A sleeper the person that I'm thinking, Magna Bloodbolt. I know he plays a really good Genji. He plays a nice hit scan, and I've seen him basically play every DPS hero I think in the game. And then I'm also gonna go with Dynamo. Dynamo plays. I know he plays Genji. I know he used to play Pharah, and I know he used to play hit scan too. I know they picked up Z Hunter XY or whatever his name is, so he might not be playing as much hit scan. But I'm going to say Dynamo up there as well. So.
Okay. Ghost?
As far as DPS flex side, I have to give my number 1 to Supreme Errands. Give my number 2 to Ryan AM. Number 3, I'd have to give it to D-Pro. Number 4, Defies. Number 5, Re-Resi.
Alright. Well, that's gonna conclude our DPS flexes from the list there. So then we can move on to the tanks. World of tanks. Let's bring it on with Reinhardt. He is the backbone of your team, and everybody always complains when you don't have one. I'm going to lead this off to Ghost, since we have a resident just above average Reinhardt in our midst. So maybe he could shed some light on what makes a good Reinhardt / a bad Reinhardt with his list of the top 5 Reinhardts.
Alright, my list, pretty obvious what it's going to be. Put myself on top, number 1 Ryan. Sorry, I don't try and comp. Number 2, I'd have to give it to Joker's Assassin. Number 3, Boomy Bomber. Number 4, Cabron. Number 5, Excel.
So, this is kind of funny. I said this last time too. My 1 isn't on Ghost's list, and it's no surprise because it's maybe the last great rivalry we're hanging on to here at the PWL. The last of the remaining beef. I'm gonna put my number 1 Ryan as Clan. Number 2, I'm gonna give it to Ghost. Number 3, I'm going with Joker's Assassin. And I knew he was a good Reinhardt, but I don't know if he would have been on my list until I saw what he did this 2 weekends ago during the qualifiers. I mean, he was literally arguably the best player in every custom game that was loaded up. The man was fragging out. 4, I'm going with XL only because of !pin in the Discord. And 5, I'm going with good buddy, old teammate of mine, Icy McSpicy, who's really been playing a great Reinhardt recently.
Oh, I see. All right. My top 5 Reinhardts are going to be, the number 1 kid. I don't know how we lose to him. And his laugh will either annoy the hell out of you or you will love it. I'm going to give it to Clan Crush. Number 2, I'm going to give it to the Ghost X2. Number 3, when this man actually wants to play Reinhardt, he's amazing at it. His name is Cabron Wames. Number 4, I'm going to give it to Scammer. He's a bit more the Reinhardt player when Cabron actually wants to throw and play something else. And then, hey man, if he doesn't get that was a joke, he's going to be flaming me up. He's going to be like, Primera, why? Why? What are you doing? But he knows what's up. Number 5, like you said, I'm gonna have to give it to XL Ace, because just for the fact that you could pin a Pharah, you gotta be in the top. And from there, we're gonna move on to Winston. He's a new tank that has been getting some pretty much praise since some couple buffs to him actually landed him back into the meta here. I don't know anything about a Winston, yet I'm going to start off the top 5 with them. Again, top number 1 Winston right now that actually plays Winston consistently. It's Cabron Wames when he doesn't want to throw and go on the Reinhardt. That man can play any tank, and you're probably going to hear me say his name again later, but he's a good monkey. He will be annoying, aggressive monkey. Protect your support, protect your mercy. And since I just said mercy, that's going to remind me to not forget this man. And I would have put you in number 1 if I remembered. So don't kill me. Number 2 has to be Silent, because this is a man who will remember to kill the mercy. As much as everybody complains that, I can't kill the mercy. Where's the mercy? Oh my god, mercy just pulled out a 4-man res. Kill the mercy. Your monkey should be killing the mercy. So following Silent's footstep, kill the mercy. Number 3 is another person that plays Winston when he doesn't play another tank role, and is going to be Scammer. Number 4, I'm going to have to give it to the Ghost X2. I believe he says he plays a Winston. Yeah, I think he may be lying to me, because all I see this man play is his above average Reinhardt. So I do not know, so please do not kill me if I am wrong. And number 5, I'm going to give it to Icy McSpicy. I remember him playing lots of Winston back in Season 3 of the Overguard, not Season 3 of comp of this game. But yes, that's going to be my top 5 list, and I'm going to swing this over back to Bredio.
So my Winston, I'm actually going to lead it off with the guy you had at 5 with Icy McSpicy. One of the few people that I know just literally loves playing Winston. 2, I'm going to put my current teammate, Soulkiller, another guy that loves playing Winston. 3, I'm putting Mimbot. Like I said last time, this is a Reaper main that transitioned onto the Winston. I don't know when it happened. I don't know why it happened. I don't know how it happened. All I know is he does a good job at it. 4, I'm going to put Addison Davis, Winston main, plays a ton of it. And then 5, I'm going to put a tie between Ghost and my teammate O'Silent. Good Winstons harass the crap out of the supports and definitely help their team when they're on the monkey.
Ghost, let me hear what you want to say.
All right. Number 1 has to be Mimbot. Just I don't know. I've seen his Winston plays. They're really, really impressive. Number 2, I'd have to give it to Abons. Number 3, O'Silent. Number 4, me. And number 5, Cabron.
Okay. So we got some common names, some not so common names. Now we can move on to Zarya, your favorite pink hair character. Ghost. Let me ask you. Who do you think are your top 5 Zaryas?
I don't really know many Zaryas, so I only have 3 on my list. My number 1 Zarya I have to give to Cabron Wames. Number 2, I had to give it to Ryan Am. Number 3, I'd have to give it to the Wild Tiger.
Interesting. Brady, what are your top 5 Zaryas?
So I made the mistake and I forgot Wild Tiger last time, so thank God I didn't go first. Now I can put him where I think he belongs. So my number 1 Zarya, I'm gonna go with Cabron Wames. I think that might be one of those other positions that is kind of set. Number 2, I'm gonna give it to Diverse. Probably the only person you could say could question Cabron. Number 3, I'm going with the Wild Tiger. 4, I'm going with Nate Diggy Dog. He plays for Notorious, very underrated player. Not a lot of people know him. All I know is every time we do play him, he is an issue the entire game. And number 5, I'm going with Golden Bullet. Genji main goes Zarya main for the meta. And how many times do we see this man get 5, 6 people in a Graviton so D-Pro could press triangle in it and get a team kill? So I'm going to give it to Golden Bullet.
Some new names there. Alrighty, so my top 5 is going to have to be Cabron Wames. This man will screenshot dozens of comp matches and be like, man, I just don't know what else I could do, bro. I'm farting on them, and I just don't know. Like, am I just this bad at the game, though? Like, I have 60 eliminations. I got this. I got all golds. Like, how am I losing? Yes, Cabron, you are just that good at the game. You should quit. He is going to be my number 1 Zarya. Number 2, long time Zarya player, Diverse. I used to play with him back in the day of Season 2 comp, and he was the only Zarya I felt so comfortable giving me bubbles as a mercy. And he's a very good, reliable teammate. He will die when you tell him to, and then you can go and res him real quick. Number 3, I'm going to give it to Golden Bullet for the fact that a DPS Genji main, which is, I guess you could pretty much argue, is the most selfish character in this game, spamming I need healing. But then to go and transition to a very good anchor as a Zarya and get so many people in his ultimate, so as what Brett says, so D-Pro can press triangle. Yeah, you're going to have to give it to him. Then next on my list is going to go to Z Wild Tiger. That man's the most annoying Zarya you could ever live. That's the fact because he gets pocketed by his Ana so many times. So make sure you kill his Ana, and then you should be fine. If not, GG. He's going to kill you. Full charge. Yeah, that's going to wrap up our tank. So then now we can move on to the best tank flexes, which is pretty much an ironic category since most tanks are really much reliable in their solo tank. As in, we know Ghost X2 plays such an above average Reinhardt, yet he claims he could play a Winston. So guys, what are your top 5 tank flexes? Radio?
It's like you said, this is kind of a harder one. I think just based on volume of players, I'm gonna go with Silent at the 1. I mean, he's playing main tank for us right now. He's played off tank. He just literally plays everything. So this might be the one time I'm gonna put him as the number 1 tank flex, as in You know what? I take that back. I'm gonna go Cabron as the number 1 tank flex. He had a roast.
Saw that coming.
If I didn't fix that, he would have roasted. Man, that was close. I'm gonna go Cabron at the 1, Silent at the 2. Wow, that was really close. I'm gonna go. Icy McSpicy at the 3. Let's go Ghost at the 4 because of that above average Winston. And then at the 5, I'm gonna go with High on Milo, my boy.
Okay. Ghost, let me at him. What's your list?
I only have 3 people for flex. My number 1 obviously has to be the man, the myth, the legend, Cabron Williams. Number 2, I have to give it to Abons, even though I see him mainly play support right now. Number 3, I have to give it to O Silent.
Okay. Damn, I'm just repeating things right now, but number 1's gonna have to be Cabron Williams. Number 2, I'm gonna have to give it to Osalent for farming me as a poor little girl Mercy. 3, I'm gonna give it to iDiverse because I've been seeing him not on his Zarya and been playing back Diva and Reinhardt. So that man can play pretty much any tank. Before I forget, Scammer can do the same thing, so you're right on my list. And then as 5, I'm gonna give it to Icy McSpicy because he could play a Winston, Reinhardt, and I think now I've been seeing him on some Zarya, unless I'm mistaken him. But yes, he's been branching out to the other tanks, and I have full confidence he could play them very proficiently. And that's gonna wrap our tank category, and we're gonna move on to the most hated category that nobody ever wants to play. Yeah, I'm talking about it. Yeah, support players. We're gonna start off the list with your top 5 Lucio. As a Lucio quote unquote main, just because I play him because nobody else wants to, I'm gonna start off the list. I'm gonna be biased and put myself as the number 1 Lucio, and I'm gonna be more specific, the number 1 DPS Lucio. I will fuck up your Reinhardts, your Zaryas, your soldiers, and anybody else that my DPS can't kill. Number 2. I do not know any more Lucios. But I'm going to give it to Fulcons, because that man is very annoying. He's probably the best survivability Lucio I know, because he very shouldn't be escaping battles the way he does. Either A, nobody shoots at him, or 2, he's just that good at the game. I just don't know. Number 3, I'm gonna have to give it to the most toxic Lucio I know. Yes, you're gonna hate me for it, but it's logging out. That man is a very good shot caller for his team whenever he doesn't get too toxic, and then they start imploding. But mechanically wise, he's a good Lucio. I cannot give him any fault for it. Then I think that's already like 3 or so. I do not know any Lucios. I'm probably thrown right now, and I just can't think of other Lucio players.
You'll hear our lists, and you can pick from the people that we mentioned to you, because we got there's definitely some ones on there that you're gonna want to go with. I'm gonna go with the number 1 just because he's around. I think he's the best in the game right now. I know he shot calls. I've heard him do it at a super high level. I know he's really smart. He's got really good game sense, and his mechanics staying alive, like you said. I'm gonna go with Falcons at the 1. I'm going number 2 as Hojin. I think Hojin has the best mechanics on Lucio. I think Hojin's the best mechanically. Now, as far as calling out and stuff, Hojin's got a beautiful voice, but he can be quiet sometimes. That's why he's gonna go 2. I'm gonna Primera at the 3, mostly because you're kind of retired / subbing. 4, I'm going to go with, like you called him, the toxic Lucio logging out. That's also kind of an ego check, because he's probably going to be mad that he's not 1 across all of our lists. And then 5, I'm going with I think a super underrated Battletoad in Ninja Alex. Does a really good job, puts out a ton of damage. Very conservative, but he does a really good job. And when you have great DPS and great DPS tanks on your team, you can play a little bit more passive. So Ninja Alex is going to wrap up my Lucio list.
As far as mine, my number 1 would have to be Ninja Lex 323. I've seen him play for a long time. Maybe it's a bit too biased, but it's just stuff he does I don't see many other Lucios do. Because in my opinion, it's not really all about the shot calls. Number 2, I have to give it to Volcons. Number 3, I'd have to give it to Primera. Number 4, Logging Out. And number 5, Hojin.
Okay. Yeah, so obviously I threw, but you know what? I'm not gonna. That's not my only time I'm gonna be throwing, so it's all right. Next, we're gonna move on to y'all baby girl, the girl you hate, the girl you love, Mercy. What are your top 5 Mercy players? The Ghost X2.
5 Mercy players. I have to give number 1 to JHV. Actually, no, Key to Success. Number 2, I'd have to give it to JHV. Number 3, Tommy Jet. Number 4, Werekale. And number 5, I'd have to give it to probably Volcons.
Alrighty, Bredio.
All right. So I'm gonna go. Like I said this last time. I don't know a lot of Mercy players. But I'm gonna go with Kale at the 1, JHV at the 2, Key to Success at the 3, Cake at the 4, and Primera based off this weekend at the 5. Also, shout out to Abons. Put him at the 5 too, because that man literally, Abons, I do not like you right now.
You're throwing, Brett. It's because you kept telling Silent where I was 24/7, and my team couldn't.
I was chasing you around. Man. Okay, he's in there.
You pay attention
he's hiding around
to
that
me
door.
more
Silent
than my
check.
exes do, Brett. What is this?
It's like, Silent, check that corner. He's like, oh yeah, Mercy's here. Like, yeah, thank you.
Alrighty, so my top 5 list, I'm gonna be biased. I'm gonna put myself at the number 1 Mercy spot. Number 2, I'm gonna give it to Hojin. If you saw last week's matches, he played an incredible Mercy, and I think of him more as a Mercy player than a Lucio, which is why I threw and didn't put him on my list. But you're gonna hear me put his name on the best flex for support, so don't hate me, Hojin. Love me. Then we're gonna move on to a lot of somebody that there's been a lot of attention on, and it's going to be JHV. I don't believe he was a Mercy main back in the day. I think he just plays it now. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong. But,
yeah.
Yeah? No?
Yeah,
Like,
he's always played, he's always been a support tank flex.
Okay. That's why. Because, like, to be honest, the only Mercies before was pretty much me and Alpha Wolf. Nobody else really played it. Now that Mercy's quote-unquote meta, everybody loves to play it, so... Yeah. Then from there, I'm gonna have to give it to A-Bounce just for the fact that if you saw him play against Ojin, you know, he was putting up some massive good work. And number 4, I don't know. I think that's 5. But I do not know any more Mercies. I think it's just people that play Mercy, and they're not really like Mercy players, so I don't really want to give them that title. But if we're gonna open it up from, because I try to do Premier League only type thing, and we're gonna bring it up to the AWL team, I'm gonna have to give it to my favorite Werewolf, Werecal. She is the most yelling Mercy that I have met. She will tell you that you're doing everything wrong and yell at your ear and blow out your eardrum. So don't make her angry. Just die on point. That pretty much is going to conclude the Mercy list. I think we could go straight into Anna, which is going to be something very off, because not a lot of teams are actually running Anna nowadays since Mercy is in a favorable position. So, Bredio, what is your top 5 Annas?
All right, so I'm going to go with the god himself, Saucy Light at the 1. 2, I'm going to go with Tommy Jet. He's kind of an up-and-coming new name. He's been playing at a really high level, and he's a great Anna. 3, I'm going to go with Chris Unofficial. Maybe, right up there with Sauce as one of the best off supports in the game. I'm going to go with O Silent at the 4. I play with him on off support a decent amount, and Sleeping Fairs out of the sky is not anything crazy to him. And at the 5, I'm going to go with Yeti Staltz. I know he's a starter now for Armory, and an all-around really, really good Anna.
Go see, baby. Let me at you.
My number 1 Anna has to be Tommy Jet. I've seen him do a lot more things than I expect from an Ana. Number two, I have to give it to JHV. Used to be part of our team. Really, really, really good Ana. More of a support Ana which differs from Tommy's Ana, which is more combined DPS and support Ana. Number three, I have to give it to I'd have to give it to Hojin. Number four, I'd have to give it to Sauce City Light, and number five, Chris Unofficial. I was kind of stuck between the 4 and 5, like who would be better. But yeah, that's my list.
Alrighty. So my top 5 list is gonna be Sauce City Light as the number 1 Ana, Tommy Jet as the best newcomer Ana. I haven't really seen too much of him or heard that much of him. I know he used to play on Ghost's team, but I don't think I remember him playing an Ana. Maybe he played a Zen or a Lucio back in the day, and it just not in my mind. I'm gonna give it the number 3 spot to Silent. He's always playing Ana. I think that's probably his best support that he says himself. So don't kill me if that's wrong. 4, I'm gonna give it to Yeti Stoltz. I believe he was on several different teams, and now he's on Armory, and he's a very good Ana himself. And then number 5, I'm gonna have to give it to A-Bounds. Back when Trip and Quad Tank was a thing, he was a very annoying Ana to deal with. So my hat's off to you guys. Then we're gonna wrap up the support class with your favorite robot, Zenyatta. Ghost, how about you lead us off?
Number 1 Zenyatta, I'd have to give it right now to probably, even though he doesn't really play on Zen anymore, I'd have to give it to what's his name? Fibers. He used to play support, now obviously he's a tracer. Number 2, I'd have to give it to JHV. I heard a lot of good stuff about him when he used to play Zen. Number 3, I'd have to give it to Six Paths.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, my mic bugged out there. Yeah. Number 4, I have to give it to us, Chris Unofficial, and number 5, give it to Sauce City Light.
Alright, so my number 1 Zen, I'm going to go with Sauce City Light. Number 2, I'm going to go with Chris Unofficial. Number 3, an underrated name, someone I don't think a lot of people know about, is Zealot. He plays on Notorious. Like I said about Nathan B-Dog earlier, Zealot frags out. Number 4, I'm going to go with the OG Six Paths. I know we don't see too much of him in the league, but Six Paths back in the day was a god on that Zenyatta. And number 5, strictly based on what we saw in the qualifiers, I'm going to go with McBillet. I know he's a DPS main, but we saw him absolutely fragging out on the Zenyatta, so I'm going to go with McBillet. And I want to say, on the Ana, if A-Bonts was starting, I'd have him on my list. But I know he's like kind of in and out, so A-Bonts, no shade to you, man. You're a god, Ana, but not a starter.
Oh, see, I'm not all informed with who's playing, who's not. I seen a list, I saw his name, I put it out there.
No, it's a good call. It's a good call. The second you said that, I was like, oh, he's right. A-Bonts is a god.
Alrighty, my top 5 Zen list is gonna be the man, the myth, the legend, the God Yada himself. He will give you the cock. Sauce City Light. That man L2 is more than anything, and if he's not killing your Tracer, he's killing your Genji, and both. Number 2, I'm gonna give it to myself. Number 3, I'm gonna give it to Six Paths, the best DPS Zenyatta I have ever seen. Number 4, I'm gonna give it to Chris Unofficial, and number 5, I think I'm gonna start throwing because I can't remember a 5th one. So, no, I'm gonna give it to Lenny. Lenny, that was on Dyke's team. He was fragging out. I think he was only subbed out because Mercy's a thing now, but he was a very good Zenyatta. And then now we're gonna go on to the final topic of our list, which is gonna be the best support flexes. And I'm gonna start this one off with myself as the number 1 deep support flex. Then number 2, you gotta give it up to Hojin. That man can play anything right now, and he doesn't even play this game like me. Then number 3, I'm gonna have to give it to Saw City Light. You're gonna see him on the Lucio now, and I think now he might be picking up some other support. So be on the lookout for him. I think he can play pretty much all the supports out there. I think Ghost's been saying JHV for several categories. So just because I don't remember a couple, I'm gonna throw you in my top support flexes. So I hope that you prove me right, because I've only seen you on the Mercy so far. And then at number 5, I'm trying to think of another really good support that plays at all. Which one on my list was I don't know. I'm gonna be throwing for my number 5. So unless Brett and Ghost has somebody else, I only know 4.
Go ahead, Ghost.
As far as my list, it's pretty similar to my on Mercy list. Number 1, I'd have to give it to JHV. Like I said, just one of the best supports I've ever seen out there. Number 2, I'd have to give it to Tommy Jet. Number 3, I'd have to give it to Primera. Number 4, Saw City Light, and number 5, Six Paths.
Yep. So I'm gonna go Sauce at the 1. I'm gonna go Hojin at the 2. I'm gonna go Primera at the 3. I'm gonna go JHV at the 4, and at the 5, let's go Chris Unofficial.
Okay. I still don't know a 5th one, so we're gonna put that undefined right now.
To be continued.
To be, yeah. Well, remember, guys, these top 5 lists are mostly for fun. These are basically personal opinions and/or reviews of what we've seen in your matches. So if you want us to put you under a category, start fragging out on that weird character. You want to be the best Junkrat? Yo, start popping off on them in your league matches. I'm gonna have to put you in my list. We're gonna try to do this again at the end of the season and try to revamp some of our choices if they change. And also talk about some of the characters that we did not mention now. We try to stick to mostly characters that were in this meta / what we have been seeing from teams running. I think that pretty much concludes this podcast. Bredio and Ghost X2, do you guys have anything else you guys want to say and/or any shout-outs you want to do?
Go ahead, Ghost.
Our shoutouts, gotta shout out Rocket Hytham, gotta shout out Swaglard, who else? I also gotta shout out Squidix for being the worst Zen I've ever seen, and then that'll be it.
Shoutouts to, first of all, Primera and Ghost for coming on and doing this a second time. Shoutouts to everyone in the community that's going to be watching this. Shoutouts to you, like 9 people that are watching this live right now. Shout out to everyone in the community just for the supporting, all the staff that are involved on a daily basis, everyone that's active in the community, keeping this thing going. And then other than that, just want to say thanks, and make sure you follow us on all of our social media links and whatnot, so you don't miss anything. Join the Discord. There's links all over the place. On Twitter at PWLeagueOW. You can find links to everything there.
Perfect, guys. Well, that's pretty much it. I'd like to thank my co-hosts of this week, the Ghost X2 and Bredio, also known as Salsa Supreme. Right? That's your gamer tag?
Yeah, that's the quote-unquote Smurf, even though I mostly only use that one now, so.
Well, talk about his new man, am I right? But yeah, pretty much what Brett says. Shout out for all the people that are checking us out. Remember, we are by the people, for the people, by the people. So again, you checking out everything that we make and giving us feedbacks on it and sharing it to your friends, sharing it to other people that play this game. As much as this game is about to get a 1-year anniversary, there's still so many people playing this game. So share us, send us to your friends, send us to your family, send us to all the people that you meet in comp that are throwing. Just you be like, hey man, quit throwing, check this out. That's gonna conclude the PWL podcast number 2 for this week. I am your host, Primera Spot on 9-1, filling in for Addison Davis, who could not have made it this week. I believe he's going to continue it next week, and I am going to go back to my lowly behind the shadow work that nobody ever knows that I do. So, again, peace out and take care.